What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Nerdy Mark channel. I'm Sid the Nerdy Mark, and this is my review of Raw and Smackdown. Raw does begin with Kurt Angle, the general manager. He comes out and he's talking about the contract signing between Ronda Rousey and Nia Jax for the Raw Women's Championship. He can barely get a word out, but then Stephanie McMahon, who has been absent for about 2 months, appears under the pretense of giving guidance to Kurt Angle as to how to be a good general manager. Kind of just an excuse to emasculate him in public. So she basically takes control of Monday Night Raw for the evening, and she says she will be presiding over the contract signing over Ronda Rousey and Nia Jax, who apparently she has no grudge over anymore, and that she's cool with her.
You lie!
After this, we do get an interruption from Roman Reigns, and he comes out to a shower of booze, as usual. Roman then talks about how he has been cheated out of the Money in the Bank contract and the WWE Universal title, as usual. And of course, Stephanie McMahon emasculates him because she always has time to emasculate a fellow superstar from WWE, now doesn't she? So she emasculates Roman Reigns, saying that he needs to control his Samoan temper or he can find another job. Roman retorts by saying she has to watch that attitude or he's gonna go and beat up some of her favorite superstars. Stephanie McMahon says that she doesn't play favorites. This prompts Kevin Owens to come out, and he says, yeah, she doesn't play favorites because despite the fact that I tried to kill her father, she let me come over to Monday Night Raw and gave me a shot at the Money in the Bank contract. He puts his arm onto Stephanie McMahon's shoulder, and it is at this moment that KO knew that he effed up. She then says, never do that again, and as a matter of fact, Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns, you two are going to have a match right now. And this is a really good match. Kevin and Roman do have a really good match. Very competitive match. A competitive match featuring Roman Reigns. It is possible, people. I like this. Nothing, no big, great spots to talk about here, but a pretty good match. I mean, you know, Roman Reigns with the Superman punches, Kevin Owens with the super kicks, and whatnot. The match does spill over to the outside. Jinder Mahal interrupts and breaks up the match, attacking Roman Reigns, giving him the DQ victory. Kevin Owens joins in on the beatdown, and who comes to save Roman Reigns? Not the Authors of Pain. It is the Intercontinental Champion, Seth Rollins. This, of course, prompts the general manager, Kurt Angle, I guess, even though he's basically stripped of all his power this week, to force a match between Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins versus Jinder Mahal and Kevin Owens. This was also not a bad match. Nothing to write home about here. Of course, we had Sunil Singh distracting and all that good stuff, but that doesn't get in the way of the babyfaces because the match does end when Seth Rollins hits a curb stomp onto Kevin Owens to win the match for the babyfaces. As Roman and Seth are walking towards the back, Jinder Mahal comes out with a steel chair and hits them both across the back. Up next, we had literally the worst thing about Monday Night Raw, and that was Sami Zayn coming out with Bobby Lashley's sister. So Sami Zayn gets on the mic. He reminds us again of that really cringeworthy interview that Bobby Lashley gave with Renee Young. And he brings out Bobby Lashley's sisters. Of course, they're not actually his sisters. They are 3 men dressed in drag. Right here is where I was just like, where I basically kind of just tuned out for this segment. I could not believe that they did this. This was horrendous. This was horrible. I hated every single second of it. So we have Sami Zayn ask Bobby Lashley's sisters some questions, and they say that Bobby Lashley was a really bad brother. One of them kept a broom as protection. The other one wore a helmet, an army helmet that she got from a surplus store, Army Navy surplus store. She used that because Bobby used to always hit her on the head with his fist, so she would use that as protection. And then the other third sister, he had a really dirty towel because of all the tears she wiped out of her face and all the snot she blew into the towel. So it looks pretty disgusting. This brings Bobby Lashley out, and he's actually happy about this. So you're happy that Sami Zayn is making fun of your sisters. Maybe you are not so good of a brother after all. He does come out and he kind of, makes fun of them and whatnot. Makes fun of one of the sisters has a mustache, so he makes fun of that. And he basically thanks Sami Zayn for bringing his sisters out like that. Sami Zayn says, "Oh, you like that, did you? How would you like it if I haluva kicked your face in and threw you out like a piece of garbage? Because that's what you are, Bobby Lashley, you're a piece of garbage." Suddenly, Bobby Lashley's smile turns into a huge grimace. Make fun of Bobby Lashley's sisters all you want, but when you call him garbage, that is crossing the line. He goes after Sami Zayn, but Sami Zayn escapes the ring, so Bobby Lashley beats up on his sisters. He takes the helmet and puts it on the mustache sister's head and hits her/him on the head with it with his fist. Wouldn't that hurt Bobby more than it would hurt the guy wearing the helmet? This segment was an absolute dumpster fire. I hated everything about it. This was so cringe. I don't understand what they're doing with Bobby Lashley. Welcome back to WWE, Bobby. Good to have you. Then got a match between Ember Moon and Alexa Bliss, but before we had that match, we had another one of these interviews right before the match. Seriously, why do we do this? How do they even have time to interview? They have a match in like 5 seconds. Alexa Bliss is interviewed, and she basically gives us a lesson about the Visigoths and the Romans, like how the Romans weren't ready for the Visigoths. And she wasn't ready for Ember Moon the first time she came over to Monday Night Raw, but now she is going to be ready, and she's going to take down that barbaric Visigoth known as Ember Moon. And this is a pretty good match. I loved every bit of it. I love the whole spot with Mickie James and the referee. She tries to get involved, but the referee ejects her. So this, of course, lets Ember Moon just do whatever the hell she wants to Alexa Bliss. She goes on the turnbuckle, hits the Eclipse for the win. Good match. We then had Baron Corbin versus No Way Jose for what feels like the 56th time. Long story short, Baron Corbin does win this match, but I do have one note that I want to make out, and that is in the conga line of No Way Jose, the first lady who is wearing the black dress is actually indie professional wrestler Allie Recks from New Jersey, and she actually has her own YouTube channel. And I actually saw a few of her matches, and they're actually really, really good. This lady has a lot of potential, and I think she's great in the ring. And I just can't wait to see what she has in store. And I know this is not the last time we're going to see Allie Recks on WWE television. It's going to be only a matter of time before she makes it over to WWE or Ring of Honor or New Japan or wherever she wants to go. That's, of course, her prerogative. But Allie Recks, keep doing your thing. You're amazing. You're awesome. And I am totally behind the Rex Revolution. Up next, we have another rematch, the B Team versus Breezango. And this was a fun match, another fun match between these four competitors. Again, wrestling itself, nothing too great about it, but it was fun to see. It was entertaining. And, of course, the B Team win, continuing their undefeated streak as marketed by Corey Graves, and they celebrate by falling on top of each other, getting a chair, falling on top of the chair, rolling off the chair, falling on top of each other again, and it is only going to be a matter of time before someone takes a picture of that and puts a certain logo on the lower left-hand corner of the picture. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. If you do, then you do. We now have the contract signing between Ronda Rousey and Nia Jax. Both of these women come into the ring. This is, of course, presided by Stephanie McMahon. They both come in, and Stephanie does indeed drive a wedge between these two women, saying stuff about both women that, kind of cause tension between them. Nia Jax is the first one to respond, saying that she is going to beat her at Money in the Bank. She's going to prove that, she is the irresistible force and whatnot. Then Ronda Rousey signs the contract, shakes Nia Jax's hand and says, "I am going to take your title." And she looks at her arm and says, "And I'm going to take your arm." I don't know why they're calling Ronda Rousey the baddest woman on earth. I think a better moniker for her would be the Arm Collector. I think that would be really cool. Matter of fact, I'm going to call her the Arm Collector on my channel from now on. That's who she is. She is the Arm Collector, Ronda Rousey. I am actually very excited to see this match. This looks like something that could be really awesome. Earlier on, we did have Kurt Angle basically waiting outside his office trying to get signal on his cell phone. Chad Gable does come in and talks to Kurt Angle. They are, of course, interrupted by Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler, who continue their whole this entire Raw locker room has gone soft shtick. Chad Gable takes exception to this and challenges Dolph Ziggler for a match. This was a really great match to watch. Two amazingly technical wrestlers in the ring, just doing what they do best. You know, both of them do have an amateur wrestling background, so this was really good to watch. It was really fun to watch. I wish there was more of this on Raw instead of a bunch of men dressed in drag. This was a fantastic match, but it does end with Ziggler going over and pinning Chad Gable, and then for good measure, Drew McIntyre does hit a Claymore on Chad Gable to kind of send a message to the rest of the Raw locker room. We now had our next qualifying match for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. We had Natalya versus Liv Morgan versus Sarah Logan versus Dana Brooke of Titus Worldwide. A fatal four-way match, another decent bout between these four women. There's a spot where Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan are the two women in the ring who are active, and they look up at the Money in the Bank and they just laugh and they go after Natalya. So you're telling me that beating up other people is more important than a potential opportunity at being Raw Women's Champion? I fail to see the logic here. But the match does end when Natalya does get her comeuppance and hits the sharpshooter on Sarah Logan, making her tap, making her the newest entrant in the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. And then she cuts a promo putting over Ronda Rousey because they are pals. This was weird. Earlier on, we did see Stephanie McMahon in Kurt Angle's office. She had a picture of Vince McMahon and a fruit basket and some flowers. Finn Balor and Braun Strowman come up to her and say that they want a rematch against Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. And she says, you two are not a tag team, so you don't get the match, which doesn't make any sense. Because none of that should matter, Stephanie. Kevin Owens and Jinder Mahal are not a tag team, yet they had a match with Seth and Roman, who are also not a tag team, at least not at the moment. So how does this make any sense? Braun Strowman and Finn do ask for the match, but she does drive a wedge between the two, as she always does, and books a match between Balor and Strowman for the main event. Braun responds to this by taking one of her apples from the fruit basket and crushing it in his hands and saying that he likes competition. I love Braun Strowman. We now get Elias versus Bobby Roode for the 5 millionth time, and Bobby Roode gets beaten again. So does this mean this feud is over? I really hope so. Let's put Bobby in something else. Honestly, he's a Money in the Bank competitor, and he loses to Elias, who is not a Money in the Bank competitor. Again, what in the world is wrong with your logic, Monday Night Raw and WWE? How does any of this make any sense?
Halfway.
It was a throwaway match in my opinion. But the one saving grace of this was as Elias was walking towards the back, Braun Strowman's entrance music hit, and he literally just elbowed Elias onto the ground. This was great. I love Braun Strowman. And then we have our main event, Finn Balor versus Braun Strowman. A really competitive main event. Actually, I really loved it. You know, a David and Goliath type of match. We even had Finn Balor hitting a coup de grace outside off the barricade. There was a spot where Finn Balor was outside, and then Braun Strowman rises up right behind Finn Balor, and that looked really cool, kind of like the Terminator. This was awesome. I loved everything about it, and the match does end though with Braun Strowman hitting a running power slam on Finn Balor, continuing to prove to us that how much Vince McMahon loves big sweaty men. In the end, Finn Balor is shown respect by Braun Strowman, where Braun takes Finn Balor and puts him over to the side and continues to celebrate, and that's how Monday Night Raw ends. So, Smackdown Live does begin with MizTV. He announces that on July 24th, a day after my birthday, by the way, we are going to get the premiere of Miz and Mrs., his new reality TV show. Good for him. Congratulations, Miz, on that. Now he brings out his guest for the evening, and well, actually guests, because it is, of course, the New Day, who, of course, won that tag match between Sheamus and Cesaro, and one of their members is going to be going to the Money in the Bank ladder match. And that is kind of the big question. Who is going to go to the Money in the Bank ladder match? I'm not going to do that thing that they do when they say who. They do not reveal their secret until the very end. The Miz is very annoyed by this, and he lashes out at them, and he says, you know what? I'm tired of your cereal and your ice cream pops and your dancing and your pancakes. I can beat any one of you on any day of the week. So they finally decide that Big E will face The Miz on Smackdown Live. Miz says, I didn't get what I want, so you don't get what you want. And they all three members of the New Day keep saying shame to The Miz and throw pancakes at him. That was funny. And The Miz goes towards the back, and he is stopped by Paycheck. And she basically tells him to get back out there because she has made that match official. We do have The Miz versus Big E, and we have Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston on commentary. And they're both amazing on commentary. They still don't reveal which member is going to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match. I'm putting my money on Big E. This is a really good match. The power of Big E versus the craftiness of The Miz. It was really good. It looks like the Big E's got this match won, but Sheamus and Cesaro interrupt and beat down on the New Day. This causes a distraction. The Miz takes advantage of it, hits the skull crushing finale on Big E to win the match. And of course, it is decided that next week we are going to have The Miz and The Bar versus the New Day. I think, honestly, The Miz and The Bar they should be like Mr. Raj 2.0 in my opinion. I would love to see something like that. Up next, we have Lana versus Billie Kay. The winner of this match gets into the Money in the Bank ladder match for the women. Aiden English comes out to introduce Lana, which is a really nice touch. So I guess that everything is good between Rusev Day and Lana. So Aiden English does serenade Lana over into the ring. Billie Kay and Peyton Royce come out and they sing a ear-piercing song about how much Lana is a loser, and they have a very quick and short match. Aiden English bring up that sign that says Lana Day. Peyton Royce slaps him. Lana comes out, slaps Peyton Royce. Billie Kay takes advantage, but of course, Lana does hit her finisher. I don't know what it's called. I'm just going to call it Machka because she says Machka before hitting the finisher. She hits her finisher where she kind of does the splits in midair and slams your head on the mat and wins the match. Pretty quick match. Really fun, really entertaining stuff. Congratulations, Lana, and happy Rusev Day. We then got a promo from Zelina Vega and Andrade Cien Almas where she complains, but she kind of says that Andrade Cien Almas has treated like royalty everywhere he went, and when he came to SmackDown Live, he got a local jobber. How inconsiderate of WWE. So we have this match next. We have Andrade Cien Almas versus another local jobber, and we actually have "Let's Go Jobber" chants from the crowd, which is interesting. This was a squash match. I'm excited for Andrade Cien Almas. Hopefully we put him in the United States title picture soon, because that is a match I would love to see. Jeff Hardy versus Andrade Cien Almas. Up next, we have AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura in the ring, and as a result of last week's match, Nakamura decides what the stipulation is going to be for their match at Money in the Bank. In the beginning, Nakamura proposes a pillow fight, which in my opinion would be way better than all the matches that they've had so far. Nakamura says that he's going to take his title and that this will no longer be AJ Styles' house and it will be Nakamura's house. AJ Styles says, I don't care what the stipulation is, I will see you at Money in the Bank. This leads to an all-out brawl between the two, with Nakamura in the end getting the upper hand, hitting the Kinshasa outside, and getting on the mic and saying that it will be a last man standing match at Money in the Bank. This could be really good. You know what? At this point, I just hope it's good. So we then got Luke Gallows and Karl Anderson versus the Usos, and the winner gets to challenge the Bludgeon Brothers for the SmackDown Tag Team titles at Money in the Bank. The Usos and the Good Brothers cut a promo on each other. Of course, it does end with Luke Gallows calling the Usos nerds. This, of course, leads out to a brawl, and then we have the match starting, though, with Luke Gallows and I believe Jey Uso. This was a good match, actually. I really, really liked this one. I never thought this was a match I wanted to see, but it was really good because both teams have very similar styles, in my opinion. I know that they have the Japanese strong style, kind of, and of course the Usos with their high flying styles. Both are very agile. That's what I'm trying to say. Both styles are very agile. Even Luke Gallows was a big man, is very agile for his size. This was fantastic. It was good stuff. The match does end when the Good Brothers hit the Magic Killer onto one of the Usos and win the match. And now they go to Money in the Bank to face the Bludgeon Brothers. So I am really excited for this match. So earlier on, we had Carmella mocking Asuka because she had Asuka's mask on her face, and she basically asserts that she is ready for Asuka. She talks about how she doesn't care about those masks and how Charlotte Flair beat Asuka's streak and that she beat Charlotte twice, so that basically makes her twice as better as Asuka. So this, of course, was a good promo. Of course, I mean, Carmella being a very effective heel here. I'm excited to see what this match is going to hold with, you know, the extreme technical ability of Asuka versus the craftiness of a Carmella. It had Naomi versus Sonya Deville, who's getting a second chance because technically she didn't get pinned, you know, in the match last week. So Naomi versus Sonya Deville, and frankly, this is a surprisingly technical match. I really didn't expect this out of Naomi, you know, because she actually does do really well in this match. I know I've given her a lot of flack in the past, but she did really well. There's a really cool spot in this that I want to talk about where the two women just keep kicking each other's hamstrings, and then finally they kind of kick each other so hard that they both kind of fall to the ground. The match does end with Naomi getting the roll up on Sonya Deville and being the next woman to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match. It's time for our main event, Daniel Bryan versus Jeff Hardy, a match that I never thought I would see in 2018. And we have Samoa Joe on commentary because the winner of this match does face Samoa Joe next week for a chance to get into the Money in the Bank ladder match. It was supposed to be Big Cass facing off against Samoa Joe, but of course last week after Daniel Bryan injured Big Cass's surgically repaired knee, Cass of course was not medically cleared to wrestle for this week. Hopefully this is an in-story injury and not like a real one, because you know Cass just came back from an injury. So get well soon, Cass. If it's a kayfabe one, then it's fine, but I just hope that is the case. We do have Samoa Joe on commentary, and he is, of course, amazing. This match right here.
This shit right here, nigga. This shit right here, nigga. Right here. This shit, nigga. This shit here, nigga.
Was amazing. This was a fantastic match. Again, a match that I never thought would ever happen. This is a dream match as well. I mean, Daniel Bryan and Jeff Hardy, in my opinion, both guys are phenomenal wrestlers. They really can never have a bad match unless, of course, it is Jeff Hardy and he is high and it's 2011 and he's facing Sting. But, of course, we don't talk about that because that's in a company that doesn't exist. This was a really good match. I can't stress enough how good of a match it is. I suggest you guys just go watch it because it was fantastic. But Jeff does favor the knee for a little bit. This, of course, prompts Daniel Bryan to use the heel lock on Jeff Hardy to win the match. And next week, we're getting Samoa Joe versus Daniel Bryan. And this is a match that I really want to see. So overall, I think Smackdown Live definitely blew Raw out of the water this week. I mean, Raw, especially with that whole Bobby Lashley sister segment, this Raw has kind of lost its direction, in my opinion. I don't know how they're going to be able, if they'll be able to bounce back at this point. SmackDown, on the other hand, is on a roll. I think they're rocking and rolling. They're doing a great job giving us good matches and kind of really cutting through some of the fluff. They're really trimming the fat on the with SmackDown and giving us a solid show. Raw, on the other hand, does need to pick up the pieces and really needs to go back to the old drawing board and see what they can't do to fix the situation. As far as highlights, both shows did have some highlights. Like, as far as Raw is concerned, I did like Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns, which turned into Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens and Jinder Mahal. Those were two really good matches. Chad Gable versus Dolph Ziggler was another really good one. But unfortunately, the whole Bobby Lashley sister segment, that was the most memorable thing about Monday Night Raw, which is not a very good thing in my opinion, because that was absolutely a dumpster fire of a segment. Ember Moon versus Alexa Bliss was another good match. And of course, the main event between Finn Balor and Braun Strowman, that was really good. As far as SmackDown is concerned, MizTV was great. Big E versus The Miz was a fantastic match. The Lana versus Billie Kay was fun to watch. The tag team match was really good between the Good Brothers and the Usos. And of course, the main event, Daniel Bryan versus Jeff Hardy. I can't sing its praises enough. just go watch the match and you'll see what I'm talking about. Those are my thoughts on Raw and SmackDown for this week. Let me know what you guys thought about both shows in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on social media and tell your friends about the Nerdy Mark. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, this is Sid signing off. You guys take care. Bye-bye.